You're listening to Where's the Exhibitionist?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jim Distortion. I am live, broadcasting live finally from the Exhibitionist in Ware. The Exhibitionist, if you don't know, is a cafe. It is a hanging space for art and also a venue for musicians, and also a great place to hide as well. If you want somewhere out of the rat race, somewhere to come and play the game, this is it. So today I'm going to be talking to Perry, who runs Perry Signs. I'm going to be talking to Chris Love, who has had a massive shift in life and career, and also to Lucy, who is a social media guru who I've only known from Instagram. So we'll see what she has to say. So what we'll do is we'll play a song first. Our first song is Stevie Pierce and the Hooligans. It's called Same Old Story.
Yeah! is the voice of the Mysterons. You're listening to Where's the Exhibitionist?
Stevie Pierce and the Hooligans there, same old story. Listen, just so you know, we are in a live venue, so if you hear the door clatter and people falling in, then that's all part of the live experience that you should be part of coming to the Exhibitionist. A couple of things coming up with the Exhibitionist this month, okay? 27th of March is the Songs of Praise boys, they're here. William Butcher Music and Art is on the 28th of March, 7 till 11 p.m. Ale on Sunday. And a Sunday session, the 29th of March. That is, of course, if we're allowed out of our own houses. Let me tell you one thing. This whole show is not going to have any virus mentions. And I've said to everyone here, anyone who does has to put a fiver in the virus hat, and then we'll give that to charity. So we're going to stay away from that. I'm excited that we're live. It kind of fuels me. It kind of makes me happy that we can actually finally get on live, and I can see people in the chat room doing what they're doing. So my first guest is someone that I've never met before, but the man walks in the room and gives me a picture of Steve McQueen. Can't be all bad, can he? Perry owns Perry Signs London. He's been around, he's got a few stories to tell, and let me introduce you to him. Here he is.
Thank you.
That's all right. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, Jim. Thank
Good.
you for asking us to come along here.
No, that's all good. We've never met, but a lot of the people in my area, so Simon, who is producing the show today, and Emma from Cherry Pie Makes, they've all said he's the best geezer in the world, all that. What's that about? Are you the best geezer in the world?
I don't know about that.
So, sign maker, but goes a bit beyond that. So what is it you do?
We pretty much do everything that's sort of handcrafted, handmade, sign written, a lot of gold leaf work, a lot of pubs, hotels, restaurants, shops, vehicles, we pretty much cover it all.
So you cover it all. Sign writing is the key.
Yeah.
I've got to get into this. Somebody, a little bird told me that you did some work for a pretty high-powered family. Are we allowed to talk about that?
Are we talking about the big R?
Yeah, the big R.
Yeah.
Just in as much as, without the details. So the Rothschilds come to you.
Yeah. Funny story. Yeah.
Go on then.
So, just contacted me. I think it was just through either recommendation or through the the internet, and so it goes along, and obviously quoted up the job, and we were there.
What was the job?
3-4 months later.
What was the job? What did they want you to do?
But it was just all the ceilings, cornices, mouldings, all that, doors, all gilded, all like using 23¼ carat gold.
Carat gold on all the doors and fittings in the place.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I think I sort of worked it out. There was round about about 25,000-30,000 pounds worth of gold used. That's without labour, with the people.
And gold leaf is wafer paper, like thinner than paper.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've got to go around, stick it and brush it on to everywhere. How long did that take?
Well, it is time consuming, and there is a process, but yeah, like I said, we were there for about sort of 3-4 months, and so, it's still ongoing now, but there's it's obviously sort of been sort of split up in the sections, so yeah, but towards the end, we had a bit of a sort of an argument with her because she's just so fickle, so fussy,
right,
and you know what it's like when you keep taking a little bit of a a dig. I just sort of exploded and just told her she didn't know what she was talking about, and at the end of the day, listen, she shouldn't have done really, but
Well, customer service maybe not, but then if you're in a position where someone's digging at you about what you know how to do and you're doing it for them, presumably you've done it for a price, everyone's agreed it.
Yeah, that's right.
Get on with the job. Let me get on with my job.
That's one of the things that aggravates me really with the trade is that people I should have come along, whether it be a shop sign or anything. They're asking. They seem to know more than you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's frustrating because I'll turn around and go, look, you should really go for this. So.
The only thing I used to, before I started building things myself, I was always a bit keen to to find out knowledge from somebody who knows. But it seems like most of the people I deal with already know it all. And it's like, well, if you know how to do this, why are you coming to me?
Well, really, why am I standing here on the pavement, looking at the,
And also, I've given you the price. And also, there seems to have developed recently a barter mentality. Okay, so you give them a price and they go, yeah, well, can you do it for 500? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that when
Well,
someone comes to you?
I'll sort of one of my, I call it a selling technique. I'll always ask them what is their budget first. I'll just say, look, you know, if your budget's £100, I'll give you £100 worth of signs or, you know, painting. So, but sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But yeah, I mean, I'm very, very fortunate that I can really pick and choose my work now.
Right.
So,
how long? Sorry to interrupt. How long have you been in business? How long have you been rolling for?
Well, I probably started sort of painting when I was about 15. I got kicked out of school early for being a bit of a naughty boy.
Right, I'm with you.
And I sort of left a year early, went on to work experience, and then I've sort of done a 5-year apprenticeship. Went and worked with a couple of other companies after that. I would say probably since I was 23.
23. How old are you now?
25.
25. So in those 2 years, you've got well in with the Rothschilds, and you do a few pub signs, all Fuller's signs, right?
Yeah. Fuller, Smith and Turner. Yeah. Which is really, I would say, it's the bulk of our work. It's not all of it.
No.
But I love it. They're a good company to work for, and we get a bit of a free rein on some of the pubs, but
you've had to work for that though, right? You've done enough good work for them to say, here's enough rope to hang yourself.
Well, that's what it's not aggravates me, but people just sort of walk in the workshop, or you know, the people are getting into it, and I feel I get the impression of, not all of them, but they just think, you know, you just open up a sign shop or a sign business, and it just happens, you know. You know, yourself and everybody who's in business, you have to got to start at the bottom, and I have done that massively.
Well, that's good. I mean, it comes from nothing. I mean, I own a tattoo shop as well. I don't know if you know that, with Dave Martin. We're over there. We started 9 years ago, and now, I mean, we're in a position where, you know, we've been there 9 years, but you still got to fight every day for what you got. But we know a bit more than the kids who are opening up, thinking it's an easy go. Yeah. So, have you got a favourite job that you've done? Have you got something that you look at, it's private, or it was a funny situation, or just some work that you could never forget?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I won't ever forget doing the piano for Elton John.
Drop that. Right, go on then.
But I mean, no,
I need that story.
I don't need the name drop, but that's it. I mean, I'm only mentioning stuff I've done, and I've been very lucky and very fortunate. So.
How does that come about? So
his agent contacted me, and he was donating his one of his pianos to BBC Radio 2.
Right.
So it got shifted over to there. It was all agreed, and I had to basically pretty much put his signature in gold leaf on the piano.
Right.
So yeah, that was pretty like 3 in the Right. I finished that. So yeah, it was. It was very enjoyable. I'm pretty proud of that.
I'm not surprised. So you're pretty much in the piece. So people know to come to you. I mean, if you weren't known for what you do, how would he know who to call?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think that. I mean, I don't. It's pretty crazy because I don't really advertise. Obviously, I'm on the Instagrams and I've got a website, but I don't. I'm like I said earlier. I'm very fortunate. I don't have to go out looking now.
Right.
But that's only happened in the last sort of 4 or 5 years.
You do. I mean, your Instagram, your Instagram page. There's 10,000 odd followers on that. How long have you been on Instagram from the start? Have you built that up? People following you.
Built up. I think I've probably been on Instagram. Same again, about sort of 4 or 5 years.
Right, because you have interesting content. It's always, I was watching the signs being made, and in your videos, and the other thing, someone was cooking bacon on one of your live things. It's very much what you do, and shows process.
Yeah.
And I think, we'll talk with Lucy about that later on. But also, you being ahead of the game on that. Do you get many customers coming through your social media, or is it?
No, it's hard to say.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean.
Do you even ask anymore where they come from, or do you just?
No, I don't really. I just think, I'm very lucky where I'm in an industry. It's art. It's creative.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier about your work and stuff. So, people do like seeing things put together. Now it's done. So that's the only reason why I put it on, because I do get a lot of emails, and I probably get a lot of messages. People who are in in sign writing and gilding. They just say, oh, you know, how did you do this? How did you do that? I'll help. If people know me, and, I'm always helping people.
So if somebody is looking for a pointer or something, you'll give it to them if you can.
1,000,000%, yeah,
Oh,
because you know you've got to pass. You know, you've got to pass it on. So that's
So
what it's about.
do you teach what you know? Do you have?
Yeah, if I get the time, yeah. If it's not too hectic in the workshop, we'll if people want to come along and they just want to learn, it's just for an hobby. You know, want to do
Just want to have a go.
or you know.
So you run a few workshops.
Yeah, yearly workshops, and people just obviously just get in contact with me, and we'll book them in, and they can either come for a weekend or just for the day, you know.
Well, do you know what? That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like that.
And we cover it, you know. I'll teach them everything, you know. I won't sod about. I mean, it's very hard because it takes years.
Yeah.
People who know, it takes a long time to learn, but to get good at it, there's a lot of youngsters coming through because. And they're going on a lot of workshops because there ain't apprenticeships anymore.
No.
Yeah. Even the colleges are shut down. They're not doing courses on sign writing and gilding. So it's very difficult. I mean, I've got a young girl coming over from. She's from Colombia, lives in Amsterdam. She's in Spain at the minute where she's visiting sign shops, and she's doing like a 2-month. Work experience,
right?
But it's free. She's like, look, I need you to teach me. I want to be unpaid,
right?
Because it's hard for me to pay someone if I'm going to teach her.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, if anything, it should be the other way around. But if you're letting her come and learn from you, then she's lucky to have that for nothing. But also, she might end up being some cracking apprentice, and there's future for you too. But
I had one guy about 3-4 years ago. He come over from Hong Kong, man Luke, and. He'd come over, done 6 weeks with me, and we'd done on-site work inside the workshop. He learned quite a bit, and he's doing really well now.
Yeah,
he's painting signs.
So that's got to be an amazing feeling for you as well. Someone, you've seen somebody who and put somebody where they need to be.
Yeah,
and now they're actually out there doing it.
Yeah, and he's a lovely guy as well. Really, really sort of laid back, placid guy, and. We've always kept in contact since he's gone back to Hong Kong, and it's nice to pass things on. You know, we're all not going to live forever, and I'd like to think that I've made some sort of
to leave your mark.
Small it is impact on someone's.
From what I'm hearing from everyone, it's not that small an impact. I heard also about going into prisons. Have you done that?
Yeah. When you said about it was the most sort of enjoyable or memorable sort of work, it probably is that.
Right.
Out of everything I've done up to now.
So can you explain that process? What did you do? What you went?
I was sort of back in 2011. I sort of unfortunate or fortunate to go into jail for a couple of years. So
right.
And it sort of made a massive impact on my life, and it turned everything around for me. So when I come out, obviously I'd lost everything, and I think when you come out the gate, they give everybody like £46, to get their travel and go home,
Yeah.
So, and I thought, and I literally lost everything. I lost all me, just everything.
Yeah.
It was start again. It was just a matter of sticking out your chest and getting on with it, and which I did.
Yeah.
And then the point I'm getting to is that because I felt I owed them.
Okay.
Because I've got something, they turned my life around.
So
I'll go back to teach.
Your prison experience was positive.
Massively.
Cool.
Yeah. It put me.
That's refreshing to hear. I mean, I've been on remand. That's all I've done. But I was there for 6 months because it all went wrong. Yeah. Right, come out. I didn't have nothing when I went in. Come out, and then that kind of put me straight as well. But only because I realised that I don't think if I'd have gone down for the time they wanted me to, I don't think that I'd have made it back the same person or a better person. So from that positive, from a negative, you now get to go in and you go to prisons to teach people.
Yeah.
Teach people about what they're doing, and so is it gilding? Is it sign writing? What did you do?
Yeah, it's pretty much the basics. It's sign writing, gold leaf, but it's just great. I mean, I've been doing it now for I think that last year I went back. I think it was in November. You know, my 5th year.
Yeah.
So it's just great. You hear all the stories, and it's you know, and I've done a bit of a naughty. I sort of smuggled in McDonald's.
Oh.
You know, I mean, it weren't drugs, it weren't alcohol, so I thought, what can they do, you know? But this guy come out, and, you know, because they come back, it's had a break, and then they come back after lunch, and there I am with sort of like £30 worth of McDonald's, and this guy sat down, and he was like, I mean, yeah, go on, quickly hurry up and eat that, you know, while the screw was in the other room, and this bloke went, you know, I ain't had it for like 11, you know, he'd been away for like 11 years, not had a burger, you know, so that was really funny.
Well, the thing is also, you can relate entirely to what they're all going through because you've been there and you've seen it, you've done it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you coming back, just that little bit of positivity for him, that would have helped him in now as well, you know?
I mean, I never mention it. It's normally, you know, the screw will just mention sort of on the second day, look, Pebby used to be here, and then you get a totally different, you know, feedback from the offender, you know.
Well, it's tribalism, isn't it? They know that you know what you're talking about, and they know that you can relate to them. Yeah. And, you know, that's it. I mean, you know, people.
But that's rewarding for me, and it's this big part which I love doing, and it's just sort of makes them think, well, you know, if he's done it, started from nothing, and go out and
maybe there's hope for me in the future. Yeah.
I just believe everyone deserves a second chance, you know.
I think you're right, and I think I mean, from personal experience, I mean, I have had a second chance. You know, I've been homeless, drug addict, you know, down in the dumps, all of that. Come back now, you know, wife, child, a couple of businesses. Taught myself the welding to get myself out of it. Yeah. But you know, when you've hit the bottom, there's only one way, one direction to go. You know, and I think you've done that. You know, and you're standing there. You're proof of the fact that just because you've been inside, that's not the end. That's the beginning when you come out, and I think that's an important message. If we wanted to be into the message business, I think that's a great message to put out there.
I mean, some people, as you know, they just don't make it. They will leave, go back, or they'll be in at the booze and drugs again. And one guy I taught in there, Brian Lyons, and he died unfortunately last year. I was teaching, and then we kept contact. Right. You know, he was alive, but he got out and. And I just think life strains of, you know, just starting again. He just had a massive heart attack and died. It was a real shame, you know.
If you've been in long enough to not understand the outside world, because the outside world moves along while nothing changes inside. Do you know what I mean? You come out, you're looking at a different street in the same place where you went in. It's not ideal. So it's sorry to hear that.
No, that's fine.
If you were to give anyone who's starting up in anything business-wise nowadays, what would be your strongest piece of advice?
Practice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can't. Anyone who's you know into art or lettering, you know, it's got to be, you know, a pencil, bit of paper, draw letters. Mm-hmm. You know, just keep practicing, and you know, so there's a lot of reference on as we know online. You know, there's some stuff online that you know show you what materials to use and. You know how to use the brush, but for me, you can't. Even when I show people, you've got to do it yourself. Yeah, you've got to
get your hands dirty and you've got to stick to it.
Yeah,
perseverance is the key with anything nowadays, isn't it? The only trouble with today's society is that everyone thinks that everything happens overnight.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they see it on the telly, and you know, the only thing I can think of is that Salvage Hunters with that. He works for Drew Pritchard. Yeah, I do too, right? Yeah, but he does all of the furniture redoing, and he's brilliant at it. And you know, it's 3 shots in, and he's like, and then after that, I finished all that work, which took you 7 years, but it's done in 10 seconds. So the world thinks that everything's immediate, and the sad thing is, it's not. No. I mean, it's taken me 4 years to get to the stage where I can weld in a straight line and put proper furniture together. You know, and that 4 years has grown with me. It's taken you 5 years to get back and, you know, get where you're going. So I think on the same note as that, keep practicing, but also longevity is the key. Make sure you stick at it. Because if you're flying around trying to find your direction, you're not going to stay anywhere, are you?
Yeah, I think we just all, not everybody, but just. For me, I was guilty in thinking that money would make me happy, and it would, you know. And I think a lot of people fall in that trap.
Yeah.
You know, if I get this and I have that, And do you know what? It's quite the opposite. I think you find that inside yourself, and it's just about getting life's just about getting a balance. I think
we're going to discuss that with Chris later on. Chris, as I've said, he's gone through this big change, in careers. So we'll touch on that. The other thing as well with me is I've always been involved. I'm a musician for years in a band with Alex years back, and we've done all that. But what I had to learn is that eventually it's not just going to come to you. You're not going to be a rock star. You've got to go and do something else. And then we worked hard at music. I was a musician for 10 years straight, and we did all right. We had some fun, and that's what it meant. But then the time came where I had to get something, and I wanted something. Now that making the welding and doing all that, I wanted to do that desperately. So I went out and did it. What's the first step, do you think? Right, if you want to start a business, you got there. You're competent. What's the first step of putting a business out there and getting out there?
I would probably definitely have a website. A lot of people sort of pay for the click thing on Google. It can work out expensive, but you know what? When I look back, I just got these really cheap leaflets done. I got some of these black and white cards done, and it was really fun, a long time ago. And I just went down the high street, a bit like here, and just put in leaflets and cards and all that in. Yeah. When I got to the other end of the high street, I looked at the card and I put Perry Sings instead of Perry Signs.
That's a whole different business.
But yeah, so obviously I had to go all in the back of the shops.
Can I have my
Can I have my card back, please? My spelling's atrocious, it really is. But no, I would just recommend just sort of, in my industry is you just got to put yourself about, and it ain't just about being good at what you do. The other half, the other 50%, I don't care what anyone says, you've got to have people skills. You've got to know how to talk to people. Yep. You've got to be kind, you've got to be, you've got to get switched on when you talk to people. Not everyone has got that gift. You can normally wake someone up in the first 30 seconds. Yeah. And I think I'm not being sort of big-headed. I've always been pretty good with just getting on with people, really.
I don't think it's about being big-headed. I think you've got a proven track record that you can do that. You've done that. I think there's inspiration to be taken from what you do, and thank you for coming today. Also, the other thing is that I want to come and visit. Can I come and visit?
Yeah, of course, mate.
See what's going on?
Yeah,
is that all right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll have to
put
get
myself
on.
a cheeky thing.
Yeah.
Also, big thank you for this. I got a gift today. I got Steve McQueen from Perry as he come through the door. That proves he's a good lad. Right.
Top man.
We're going to thank you, mate. We're going to play song 2 today, which is Northwolf Koza, Kiss Down an Alley.
Crack in the pavement on the walk into town. I smoke on the bridge with graffiti and write her name down. We meet nearly every Saturday down in the light. Sometimes when she puts
G'day, this is Crocodile Dundee. Just to say that Jim Distortion's alright. He's alright. His knife's not as big as mine, but he's alright.
What? Oh, cool. We are back. That was North Walkoser and Kiss Down an Alley. I sound like some kind of 80s weirdo DJ. That's hilarious. Right, the next guest I have is someone I have called a social media guru because I couldn't think of anything else and I don't know her. So let me introduce you to Lucy Cooper, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Hello. We're going to clap pathetically like that. Hey!
For myself.
Lucy,
Yeah.
what do you do for a living?
That's a great question. I am a social media helper. I help a lot of people build their business with social media. I also do marketing consultancy and graphic design.
Okay, so we talked very briefly. You talked about influencer marketing.
Yes.
What's that?
So that's kind of how I started my career.
Right.
So my degree was in film, and then I did loads of years of sales, and out of nowhere got a job in an influence marketing company working with some huge brands like Garnier and KitchenAid, and decided I wanted to do it for myself. So here I am.
So influencing, does that mean that the marketing is directioned at people telling them what to do, who to be? What is it?
It's basically, influence marketing has been going on forever.
Right.
So, you know, like David Beckham selling pants, that's always been, that's influence marketing. You know, people saw someone that they admired or respected and they produced a product and people thought, okay, well, if he likes it, then I think I'll have a go.
Okay, cool.
And influence marketing has just sort of tumbled and tumbled until Instagram came a thing.
Yep.
And now there are people who are famous for just being themselves on the internet. And if they say they like a product and it feels authentic, people might buy it more likely than just seeing an advert on TV.
Okay, so do you help the influencer or do you help the person who wants to sell the thing?
Both.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Two-way street.
Yes.
Okay, so I come to you with a new pair of green underpants that I want David Beckham to wear on his head.
Yes.
How does that work? Where do you start with that?
Well, with David Beckham, you need quite a big budget.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Let's stop that. Right. I've got a new brand of sausage rolls I want to put out in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the first step? What's the process?
We have to talk to the client and the people that are involved in that and see what their interests are. I'm not trying to project what I want onto someone at their business.
Yeah.
They know what their business is and what their target audience is better than I ever will. So I do a lot of mood boards, a lot of conversations, just building up a profile of what their ideal face of their business is going to be. And then from them we would decide who kind of fits that gap and what social media platform is the best platform for them too.
Okay.
Because everyone goes straight to Instagram, but that isn't necessarily the best platform for everyone.
No, very true. I hate Facebook with a passion.
Yes.
Because there's too many whiny people telling me what I should think, and without any basis in knowledge, and that pisses me off. Because I'm 47, I know everything. Oh no, wait, we discussed that we don't know everything.
I'm 23, I definitely know everything.
You're 23, you absolutely know. When I was 23, I could have taken on the world and rearranged it in my own image. I tried, sadly, failed. So with the social media thing, what's your favourite platform? Because you're on Instagram a lot, man.
Yes, yeah, I know. I have recently fallen into the world of TikTok, and I really wish I hadn't, because I think I'm 10 years too old for it.
Wait. Isn't TikTok the one with the little dancey people on
Yeah,
doing? Do you do TikTok dances?
No, I don't. No, I'm purely a watcher. But
That's slightly creepy.
It is, yeah.
I'm merely a watcher.
That's kind of the problem with social media, is that you have people that are really heavily engaged, and then you have people that are just silent scrollers. And those people are still bringing in all that information. They're still absorbing everything.
That's a great term, silence rollers.
Yeah.
Meaning creepy people in the background watching.
Yeah, and they might not even like drop any likes or comments. They're still there, and they might not have any of the numbers, but they're still, possibly going and buying that product just from having a look.
Yeah. So, okay, social media as a personal thing.
Yeah.
Obviously everyone wants to be a bit popular and they want to get a few likes. If you've got any kind of advice, somebody who's starting, say, a new Instagram page, and they want to just, obviously their friends are there, but they want to get out to a wider thing. Maybe they take a few photographs, maybe they, they fancy themselves a little bit, but it's not going to be a business. What advice would you give them?
Instagram's a strange one because it's a mix of like art and personality and maths and statistics.
Maths?
Yeah, I know. There's kind of specific times that people are more likely to be on their phones, and more likely to be scrolling through Instagram. So when Love Island's on, 5 minutes to 9, the majority of the UK are on their phones. So that is the perfect time to be on Instagram posting.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
My wife just texted me saying, I'm a creep, I do that.
Yeah, I know, everyone is. Everyone's a silent creep.
Nice one, Sid. Right, Sidonia is at home today. She can't be here because she's with my son. But, okay, so if what's the best social media platform then, just to not be in business, just to put yourself in the world?
I think that it depends on who you are. I think everything's kind of come into age categories at the moment, and Facebook is very much more of a mum platform, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
But Instagram has become more of an overall anyone can join. It's
Right.
very much just for everyone. Like there are older people, there are younger people, everyone's out there.
Well, if you look at old fossils like me, I'm on there with Metal Machine. I'm also on there with Jim Distortion, to do this show.
Yeah.
Metal Machine, I make furniture. Perry and his sign company, he's on there. Chris is on there putting up pictures of what he does. Simon Underground, world-class DJ, who's producing the show today, by the way, is, we're all on there, we're all doing different things. I find Instagram gratifying because I can put up what I make, I can put up my process, and people seem genuinely interested.
Yeah.
I'm also a massive narcissist.
Yeah.
So, I love the fact that somebody likes what I'm doing.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Facebook, right? So for the mums, when you say, the Mama Hive, about, are you part of that?
No, I'm not part of
But you know who what I'm
Yeah,
talking
I know
about.
the girls
Right,
very well.
the girls, Emma and Jess, were in last month.
Yeah.
They have used Instagram and Facebook to have their pages to breed up a group of people like-minded who all are going in the same direction from different start points. Is that, ideally, what happens if you're on your own? Where's the best one? Right, I've started a business, I'm up and running. What I do is great.
Yeah.
Okay? What's the best social media platform for me to put out, if it's a product I'm making, say? What's the best way? Is Instagram the way forward on that?
I think Instagram is the easiest way of building a brand from scratch when you don't have that much money.
Right.
You can use Instagram as an alternative to a website. People don't usually start businesses with nothing. And if you want to start a website, you've got to pay, for your website name, you've got to pay for your monthly subscription.
I can tell you within the pound how much you have to pay for a new website because I've just done it.
Yeah, and it's a lot of money if
I'm
you don't
poor.
have that much money. Yeah. And you can use Instagram as your website.
Yeah.
You can have, your little highlights as your about me. You can have that as your page or contact us. You can use that as your start to build some money before you can build your first website.
I think that's the start. I mean, I've been on Instagram for 4 years with the metalwork, and it's shown my process. I've come from nothing and being absolutely terrible at everything to actually, people asking me, commissioning me to put furniture in the house.
Yeah.
Which I'm constantly amazed at that, but that's great. The only thing was, it got to the point where I reached my elastic limit on social media. So therefore, I went and through the Mama Hive, went through to Megan Crane, who wrote my copy, paid her to do that, and also that was immensely reasonable. Do you know what I mean? I'm not. Oh, I've just said I've spent a fortune. I've spent more money than I'm used to spending. Yeah. But there are the people out there. Dare to Dream Digital as well. Yeah. On Monday, she is doing an audit of my site to tell me how bad it is.
She's incredible.
Well, this is it. And before I'd go, I don't have any money, I can't pay that. I still don't have any money, but I'm going to find it. Yeah. And I'm going to pay that price.
Yes.
So that's good. But Instagram, ideally, can give you the best start. I
think yes.
Do you have any secrets about Instagram? How do you build yourself from nothing to something?
I think the most important thing is to be yourself. People will always buy from people more than they'll buy from a brand. Since we've been buying things, you're more likely to buy from someone who's got a face to their company than just a faceless product. It might be easy to just go on Amazon, but I feel like you're going to be more dedicated to buy something from someone that you know and is always out there and personable.
There's an old adage that say that people buy people, not products.
Exactly.
So if you're honest and humble, but also be who you are.
Yeah.
Because I am quite humbled in the fact that it's, I've come from nothing with this furniture thing, that keeps me quite humble. But, the key is to be real, right?
Yes,
Because if you're fake, people smell that a mile away.
Yeah, and it's really, really easy to see when people are fake.
Yep.
And people who buy followers, it's easy to find out if they're doing that.
I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Why you would buy followers? Because they're not real, are they? They're not going to do it. They're never going to like anything you do, are they?
If you spend a really large amount of money, you can get some really authentic looking fake followers.
Yeah, but isn't that just throw as much shit as you can at the wall and see what sticks?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like that.
Yeah, people do it all the time, and people do it for influencers as well. And one of the main things that I do when I find a new influencer is vet their whole process to make sure that the people that they have as their followers are real people and they're authentic, because you don't want to just be spending even thousands of pounds for just nonsense.
No. So you've got someone who's a mid-level influencer, say on Instagram, and they're influencing products. I mean, obviously you can't talk about specifics or money, but how much marketing budget are you putting yourself in front of an influencer?
I could tell you how much the biggest influencer in the UK charges for one post.
Do that.
Father of Daughters, who's the biggest male influencer in the UK. I think he's got over 1 million followers on Instagram.
Right.
He charges £50,000 for one post.
For one picture?
Yeah.
Now, for that 50 grand, that sounds like an obscene amount of money, mostly because it is. Mm-hmm. What do you get for that? You just get him wearing a watch or saying something? Or
you would probably just get maybe 3-4 stories and a post, and that post would be put at the perfect time of the day and probably get, say, 500,000 likes, maybe 750,000. But if you don't know the person, ideally, then a lot of the things that happens with Father of Daughters is people use him because he's a big male influencer to promote male products like razors, but his following is 99% women. So that's no one's going to buy that, because if you've not looked into the statistics, it's not the right person to be promoting that.
No, absolutely. Also, as well, numbers, you really do, and I've just learnt this, you really do have to look at your core market.
Yeah.
Okay, my core market is 30 to 55, high income ladies, okay, want to buy my furniture, because the ladies in the house, and if I come across as sexist, I'm not trying to be, I'm just telling you what I think, right? People who are bought from me are usually people who have a few quid, who want their house the right flipping way they want to use it. So I do it. One of my first customers wanted a corner table in the corner of their office. They had specifics, and I went to them and I did what Perry does. I said, "What's your budget?" They told me what it was. I could easily make it for that. So I went 50 quid under, because that was what I wanted, and we got that. From there, I was honest about the whole thing. But she was, a high income bracket, nice house, perfect thing they can afford it. So I know where I'm going, but I also know that men want a 250 quid workbench for their flipping man cave.
Yeah.
I've just made one. I've just finished it and passed it on. So, you have to be careful with core markets.
Yes.
Because you might be blinding, your product from somebody else.
Yeah, you could be cutting yourself off to a whole area.
What advice do you give to people who are coming in? I mean, do people come to you from the start, or are they're established? So from the start, what's the best piece of advice you could give them? I think working with you,
a lot of people, especially women, when they start businesses, there aren't a lot of us. I think imposter syndrome is really, really easy to just feel straight away. And I think the most important thing to remember is the thing that you're selling, the reason that you're selling it is because you're good at it and someone else can't do it. Like building websites, you might be able to sit and spend your time building a website and you could sit and build it for yourself, but it might take you 2 months. Whereas someone who knows what they're doing could do that in an hour. And you have to be really aware of how good you actually are, because it's so easy to think that you're not.
Yeah, that's. I think self-deprecation is a problem. Yeah. Because obviously, if you don't want to put yourself out there as some arrogant person who I mean, I've been doing that for years, but it's with the metalwork, that's where I'm most humble, because I don't know it all, and I am a bit like, oh my God, are they going to buy this? But that humbleness has served me well. Being a musician, being a front man, if you're not arrogant and swaggering around the place like you own it, right, then there's something wrong. It's, so I juxtaposition in life, so I've transitioned from that. But so we need to find, for all of ourselves, we need to find the way to make ourselves the best we can be. Yeah. And I think your advice is find a professional and pay them what they need. But I mean, if someone comes to you on a base level and they're starting out, what budget wise are we looking at? I mean, obviously, how long's a piece of string? Yeah. But so if someone's got a couple of £100, is that useful? Can that work?
Literally, like if you've only got a really small amount of money, then there's always something that can fill your budget. Cool. There's always a way of like making a logo if you've got 50 quid, because at the end of the day, it takes me, I'm happy to help people on their journey. There aren't that many people starting businesses who are young. No. And I always want to help other people do that. Is
young a thing? Like, do you need to be young?
I don't think so.
No.
I think that...
Because I'm not.
No, I think the majority of people aren't, but I think that there's a lot of bravery in doing it when you're not.
I'm lucky and also a bit cursed in as much as that I've only ever worked for one company. Yeah. And that was Oddbins, and I was an Oddbins manager and got up there, and I was the youngest Oddbins assistant manager in some crap in London. So I was like 18 just. And then I talked my way into it because basically there were a few bikers around and they were involved in it. But that gave me a business structure, and I've been self-employed ever since. And I've hit rock bottom, and I've had nothing. But also nowadays, I'm all right. We pay our bills and we do what we have to do.
Yeah.
So it's as an older person, there's a lot of experience in, but we don't know. I mean, I know a bit about Instagram, but we don't know what what's an algorithm, for God's sake. What's the? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can help anyone from every level, right?
Yeah, I like to think so. I like to think that I've got the ability to help anyone at any level with anything that they need.
You said something to me just before we started.
Yeah.
And you said to me that dyslexia can help businesses.
Yep, it's at the top of my CV.
What does that mean?
I think that being dyslexic is a gift. I think that it teaches you to be able to think about things in a slightly different way. I mean, over 50% of the population has some sort of learning difficulty, and I think it helps you think differently. I think you put yourself outside of the box. I know I can speak better than I can write. My handwriting and my spelling is atrocious, and that's why I have people that help me do that.
Right.
But I think that being dyslexic, you think about things outside of the box. You think about things in a different way.
Okay.
My whole family are dyslexic, and we all are kind of crazy, but that's not bad.
We're all a bit crazy.
Yeah, I think so.
What? So you said to me all your business, all your family are all self-employed. They've all got
Yes.
it right. So what do they do?
My dad runs a furniture company.
Right.
He's an interior designer. It's a big company just outside of Ware.
Awesome.
And my uncles all run their own businesses. My aunts run their own businesses. I'm from a family of self-employed people.
So you were taught from the start it's all right to go out on your own.
Yeah, and I'm really lucky that I was, because I don't think very many people are.
No, I think a load of people are taught to conform.
Yeah.
Even now, where there's conform to what? Because society is so diverse, so mixed, so confused as well. And I'm not saying that the old ways are the best, but because they're not. But the direction you're given when you were me as a child, how old am I? 47, so whatever, 37 years ago.
Yeah.
You were told to go a certain way. You will go to school, you will go to university, you will do that. Well, actually, bollocks, I went and got pissed and became a musician. But, that's because that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So nowadays, if people are starting out on their own, let's have some advice for them people. Is it okay to be on your own and starting off from afresh when you're brand new?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing that you have to know is that you're never going to be ready. You can't just sit around waiting for this readiness to just come and happen.
Yep.
It's just going to happen overnight, and you're going to go, okay, shit, well, I guess we're starting. This is what's going to happen. And you can learn as you go. There's no reason why you have to stop learning as soon as you start a business.
That's
you can keep learning.
Yeah.
You don't need to just suddenly have all the information, all the qualifications behind you to then start. That's not true. That's not how it works.
No. My father, who is, or was, I suppose he was a teacher, and he was a teacher through. And he came to me a couple of years ago and he said, you know what, I'd have been better served letting you leave school at 16, because you're allowed to then.
Yeah.
Right, and go and do what you do. And he understands that. And he was a teacher his whole life,
Yeah.
and a chaplain and all the God things that go on in church. But, he realises now that if you limit someone to a certain direction, you do that. So he's very much the older generation. He's 84 years old.
Yeah.
People are starting to realise that freedom of thought is important and
Yeah.
also can give you a direction in life.
Yeah, and doing something different is, I think, in most cases, the best thing to do. I grew up in Ware. I'm from here. It was really normal for us all to just finish school and go straight to uni and get our qualifications and leave and get a job in London and commute. And I got bored of doing that.
Yep.
Everyone's doing that. You're sitting on the train, reading a book, and I just thought, this isn't for me. It's not what I wanted to do.
So how long have you been doing what you're doing now?
A year last week.
Okay, success is basically measured in whether you're still doing it and you're happy.
Yes.
Are you happy?
Yes.
Are you still doing it?
Yes.
Okay. Where do people find you on the internet?
I am Lucy Me Rolling. That's my company name.
Lucy Me Rolling.
Yeah.
Okay, I've seen you on Facebook, Instagram a
Yeah.
lot, and there's a lot of content, there's a lot of things, and you show your life. You
Yes.
show, a lot of people say to me, right, here's the weird thing, right, I'm going on a small tangent. My largest picture of likes on Instagram is me in my workshop with my leather apron with a cup of tea, smiling at the camera. It's not my best piece of furniture.
No, most of the time it's faces that
Yeah.
perform better.
So is that the key? I mean, obviously, I've been lucky enough with my furniture sales, and also I'm using Shopify, and we're joining it all together. Oh, I'm so bored of websites. Seriously, get someone else to do everything for your website. Jesus, it's boring. But the Shopify's a good thing. But so when you're looking at something from a brand new perspective,
Yeah.
do you go and follow somebody else, what they're doing, or do you try and think, because it's very hard to do something new because everyone's done something.
I think you have to, one of my main things that I've always said is that I want to make sure that I'm always learning and I'm always influenced by other people and what other people are doing. So every time I start with a new brand, I create a big mood board. I go through and find things that I think are going to work with that. But like I said before, you have to make sure you have a conversation with people, because I can't assume what a brand wants.
No.
And they know better than I do what their brand
So
is
do
all
you,
about.
yeah, I suppose you have to function on social media, you have to know where you're going to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Right, but you can also guide people if they're going to make a horrible decision.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to middle-aged spinsters with I don't know, dinosaurs in the garden. I have no idea what I'm talking about. But you can steer people the right way and give them cause and effect.
Yeah, and I think that sometimes it's really important to bring someone in who's outside of your little bubble of your business, and you don't realise, like, even small things like there's a massive spelling mistake on your website, and you just never notice because you and your bubble haven't really thought about that. And it's important to bring other people in, and I do that in my own business, make sure that I'm referring to other people and asking advice, because when you run a business by yourself, it's so easy to just be all about yourself.
What's your check for yourself? How do you know you can do what you can do?
Blind confidence.
Really?
No, I don't know what it is. I think I just enjoy it, and I think if you enjoy something, then you can continue to learn and you can continue to be better every day.
I think there's two things. If the lights are still on,
Yeah.
and you're enjoying what you're doing,
Yeah.
you're living the dream.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I hate to use that horrible flipping
Living the
living the dream. Okay, cool. So, best piece of advice you can give to anyone on social media, give us a secret, give us an algorithm thing, give us something tangible that we can all chew on for the next month.
I just think you need to be authentic. You need to show what's happening behind the scenes. Like, we all think that what we're doing day to day is our normal, but, it'd be so interesting to see what someone else is doing that day.
Yeah.
And that's really what social media is all about, is giving someone a little insight into what it is to be you.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about.
Just remembered something. I was always told, so people, a lot of the metal workers, we've all got dogs. I've got Lily, who's a bloody great white thing, right? And they say don't post anything out. Don't do anything that isn't part of your thing.
No.
But you're saying, put some life in there.
Yeah, I mean, my business Instagram is called Lucy Me Rolling, and I'm talking about all kinds of crazy shit on there.
Yeah.
I'm talking about boobs, I'm talking about dyslexia, I'm talking about all kinds of stuff. And I think that is because my brand is me.
Yeah.
And I like to talk about the things that I care about and I'm passionate about.
Sorry, I interrupted you. It's showing who you really are.
Yeah, because that's what my brand is. My brand is myself. And that's influence marketing at its basis.
I think everyone can glean the fact that if you are yourself and you're honest with that, the message you send out is yourself, and that honesty, people can see that.
Yeah.
And then will buy into you.
I hope so.
Do you know what, Lucy? It's been great speaking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say a few things about Cherry Pie Makes and all that. She runs, from the Brothership in Hertford, she runs different courses and kids stuff, making stuff like that. So I just wanted to tell everyone that on Mother's Day, she is running a course which I am desperately trying to get up on my phone so I don't get it wrong. Right, so Mother's Day Make-a-thon, that is Emma from Cherry Pie Makes. So basically you go along, you don't need to book, you pay £3 per make, 3 years and plus. All of this Mama Hive stuff, all of these people who are in these groups are winning. They're succeeding.
Yeah.
And if you can find a group of like-minded people to work with, does that help you too? Just I'm going to bring you straight back in instead of nothing.
Definitely. I think it's really hard to run a business by yourself. You can be lonely just running a business, just you. And like I said before, you need to bring other people in so that you expand your business and you keep growing. And Mama Hive is amazing for that. They are a great group of women who
I
just all do stuff.
even though I'm not allowed to join, which annoys me, right? Because I'm not a woman, right? That doesn't annoy me because I'm not. But what they're doing is fundamentally so good, and it is working. People are joining them, and fitness women in Hertford and other people, they're all joining together to move forward because they've all mostly had kids.
Yeah.
And mostly want to start again and not join the rat race. And you know what? They're actually doing it.
Yeah.
And so are you. You're doing it. You're out there on your own,
Yes.
giving it the big one. Right. Say again, where can we find you on the internet?
Lucy Me Rolling Ltd.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.
Right, we're going to play a song now, which you'll probably hate. I found a demo of mine, which is called Truth. And Chris Raxall, who was the guitarist from Distorted Breed, which is my old band, we got into a studio a couple of years ago and fleshed out this song, which I wrote 12 years ago. It's a bit rough. He plays too many twiddly bits at the beginning, so forgive that. But this song is called Truth, and it's written by me.
There's a crazy feeling running through my brain that I may have gone to the edge again. This time I may have gone too far. Where's the road before me simply leads to the bar. There's not always a message to be learned. There may not be a wrong road to be turned. It may just simply be that in this life free, that in this life it's just down to you and me. Guided by the stories, don't you stray. Guided by the stories, find a better way. Guided by the stories, don't you stray. I've heard all your stories that are made to want. Since the day I was born, believe me when I say, you're better off believing in you anyway. Sit on another bar stool and drink. This is the time I have to really think. Maybe I don't have to be anything but me. That, my friends, is the key to being free. Guided by the stories, find a better way. Guided by the stories, don't you stray. Guided by the stories, find a better way. Guided by the stories, don't you stray. Guided by the stories, find a better way. Guided by the stories, don't you stray. Guided by the stories, find a better way. Guided by the stories, don't you stray.
My name is Michael Caine. Not a lot of people know that, but you're listening to Where's the Exhibitionist? Hello, this is Cheryl Cole, and I know Jim personally, and he's not as bad as he looks. You're listening to Where's the Exhibitionist?
Sorry, Chris, you all right with this?
Yeah. If I had to hide from alcohol, no problem.
So, we are back. I've had a drink now, so I'm all right. I haven't got dry gob anymore. I am going to talk to a person I've known for, I don't know, how long's it been, Chris?
20 years?
It's got to be 20
Gotta be
years,
20
hasn't it?
years.
Right, basically, we used to hang out in a place called the Marquee, which was a beautiful drinking den of wonderfulness with music, and we all used to play live and take lots of drugs. Not in the Marquee, I hasten to... Well, okay, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. I took a lot of drugs in that place, and I'm all right with it because it's closed down now. So, ladies and gentlemen, Christopher Love. Hey! How are you, Chris?
I'm very good. It's good to be here. Thank
It's
you.
nice to see you, man. It's been a while.
It has.
Right, I obviously we started out drinking together and doing all that and being outrageous, but then there came a point where you fell off the edge of the world.
Yep.
I fell off the edge of the world, and then we've converged back, being
Indeed.
slightly more contained human beings. So, do you want to explain where you were back then? What happened?
Where I was back then, I think I met you at the back end of the good times for me. From then it went rapidly downhill. It went from being able to use cocaine reasonably successfully,
Yep.
and function and have the money to do so, to living in a squat in rural Suffolk with a Staffordshire Bull Terrier and a flock of chickens.
Okay.
The chickens in the house, the dog wouldn't come in the house.
Right.
And I was drinking white cider and using whatever substances I could get my hands on.
Right.
I'm what's commonly referred to as a low bottom
Low-bottom addict.
Yeah. And as a result of the police getting bored of arresting me on a regular basis, I found myself in a rehab.
Right.
Back in 2008.
So, you got nicked enough times for them to put you in rehab, or did
I-
you do that yourself?
I had a bipolar diagnosis
Right.
at the time, so every time they nicked me, before they could interview me, they had to get a psychiatrist in. It was getting very tedious for everybody. So I was given an option.
Right.
I was given an option of prison or take some action myself and go into treatment. I took what I thought was the easier, softer option.
No.
And went into rehab. I was very, very wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very wrong.
Did
Yeah.
that rehab work after that stage, or did you have to go through it? What was the coup?
What I've come to discover is that addiction, as I understand it, is a chronic relapsing illness.
Right.
So my experience was that for a period of time, the tools that I picked up in rehab, the fact that rehab introduced me to 12-step recovery.
Right.
It's not the route for everybody. It's
No.
not the route that everybody needs to go down.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked for me for a period of time. What I didn't understand early on was that I needed to maintain engagement with that process
Right.
in order to live a life of sobriety and freedom.
Okay.
So the wheels fell off, and thankfully the wheels came back on very quickly. I had a 6 to 8 week period where I did all sorts of things that I hadn't done previously.
Right.
So since then, it's worked.
You've been clean for a long time, though.
I'll be 10 years sober in August this year. Yeah.
God, congratulations, man.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I didn't go through any kind of process
No.
with that, but I got the sickness route. So kidneys packed up, in hospital, you're going to die, was told that. The embarrassing thing, I think I've told this story 100 times, but the embarrassing thing is telling your dad you're going to die and he needs to power back from France. And as he's coming back through the door, I'm putting my clothes on, I'm going home now. And he's like, are you fucking what? Mm-hmm. And then, so I have to explain to him because I shielded everything from my family. So they didn't know what was going on. Oh, luckily, my mum had died, sadly, but my dad was living in France and my sisters live wherever the hell they live. But so basically what happened was I just hit rock bottom and I had nowhere to live, living on the street, but still had money in my pocket because, I knew I was selling drugs. I mean, everyone knows that, right? The only trouble is I was selling drugs to feed my habit.
Yeah.
We've all been there. And then I got past the amount, started taking everything I was supposed to be selling, and luckily for me, the big hard people that came for me weren't quite that big and hard, so I managed to deal with that, and then ended up in hospital with kidney failure. So I was very lucky in as much as I could look after myself. But, you know, at the end of the day, someone's going to put a gun to the back of your head if you're going to carry on with that in a very real situation. So we're both clean. We're both actually, I've got to be 10 years. I've got to be 2. So that's amazing for all of us. What I did, I did it too slow. You had to take it through a process. Now, are you back on that process now?
I'm very much engaged in that process, yeah.
Okay. So you, as long as I've known you outside of the first bit, you've been selling cars.
Yes.
Okay, and you've been stressed about selling cars.
Very much so, yes.
But you had to, so you were selling minis with different cars, or was it?
That's what happened, yeah. So through a series of events, I found myself in a position whereby I was ready to set up my own business.
Right.
I had what I think most people have with their first business, which is a fairly significant failure.
Right.
And found myself 3 years ago involved in a new business, specialising in small quirky cars is where we started off.
Cool.
Where we ended up was specialising in Mini Cooper S's essentially.
Yeah.
However, and we were talking about this with Perry briefly before we started, the pursuit of a pound note, it transpires, was not for me.
No.
I found myself unfulfilled. I found myself in a position as well whereby I was seeing the worst of people, if that makes sense. I think anybody who works in retail, in a retail environment in any way, shape or form, dealing with the general public these days, gets to see, the only term I can use is the worst of people.
Yeah.
And cars in particular are very emotive. People are dependent upon their vehicle for their life.
Yeah.
For me, I could have been selling anything. I'm not particularly passionate about cars.
No, but I saw you selling cars though.
Yeah.
Right, especially the minis. You loved all that. I know. You might not. Right. So honesty on social media. We've been talking about that with Lucy, right? I saw that as honest. I saw you were genuinely trying to take the people, like, to give the customers the best service they could.
Yes.
But yet you still got a bunch of shitbags. There you go. I've said it. Coming back, giving you grief about things that were nothing to do with you.
I think that's I think the honesty is the consummate salesman in me. I spent many years, as you know, I spent many years working in sales and marketing before the wheels fell off. I could have been selling bananas with the same amount of passion.
You were bastard good at it because you had when we first met.
Yeah.
You know, you had a few quid in your pocket. You could survive with that lifestyle.
And I think many people who wind up where I wind up, many people with addiction and alcoholism issues are very talented, creative people.
Usually.
In order for me to survive in the world in which I existed in, I had to be a bloody good blagger. So
listen, I don't know too many straight down the line car salesmen. Do you know what I mean? But
and that's my experience. It was becoming increasingly difficult for me to reconcile the way in which I'm trying to live my life, with the way in which I was living my life.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where it was causing me a lot of stress and strain. And enough was enough, and a change of direction was presented to me, and I took it.
So you drew a line. And you've gone from being a car salesman to what?
So now I work as an admissions manager for a new rehab facility in London.
Right. I have to say, right, watching your sobriety, right, because I like we talked about, I'm the creep in the background, but actually I like your photos quite often. But I've seen you go through a process of you showed your chips and you got in and you got engaged with the 12-step process. I don't have any feelings about the 12-step process apart from I knew that it wasn't for me because the higher power thing I really struggle with, so I didn't do it. But it's worked for you.
Yes.
And it continues to work for you.
Yes.
This is the problem that people have, is they don't, like you said, as soon as you get unengaged or disengaged from that, you're gonna fall off.
Yeah.
So you're still engaged with this, but now you're part of it. You're not part of the problem anymore, my man. You're part of the solution.
And that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
And that's the whole idea.
I made up for you. I have no idea why I have such strong feelings about this, but I think it's perfect for you. I think it's perfect that you will find a world where you can function because you have experience in it.
Yeah.
So tell me what your job will be.
So it's interesting listening to the other guys talking this morning because I took a lot from what Perry was talking about in terms of his ability to identify with people who've been where he's been, with his experience of being incarcerated, Interesting listening to the stuff about social media and influencers and ambassadors and such like. So my role is as a salesman for the rehab. Now that's a very difficult product to sell as such. So what I'm dealing with is there's two streams, I guess. There's the inbound inquiries that we receive.
Right.
And the inbound inquiries that we receive is coming through mostly through social media now.
Okay.
There was actually a blanket block on rehab facilities advertising on Google as a result of some activities that one organisation, interestingly enough in the UK, was engaging in, that caused a worldwide ban on rehab advertising on Google.
So what did they do? Are you allowed to talk about that?
I'm allowed to talk about that, but I'm going to choose not to talk about that in any great detail.
Cool.
But what they were doing was slightly, in my opinion, was slightly unethical. And this is, I'm going off on a tangent. This is one of the reasons why I think over the last few years I've struggled to find my place, or to find a balance between what I have to do with my personal recovery and my professional life. And there's certain elements of the residential rehab world that just don't sit comfortably with me. Right. One of which is the cost of treatment can be anything from 12 grand to 40 grand. For a 28-day stay.
And I ain't being funny, if you're an addict, you don't have that.
You don't have that.
No.
Government funding's not there. The NHS is stretched. That's a whole other conversation that I'm not going to go into. But there's 500,000 problem drinkers in the UK. And less than 20% of them are actually receiving any support or have any access to any sort of facilities. So my role is twofold. We engage in activity on social media. At present, we're using Facebook, we're using LinkedIn. We've got a little campaign running on Spotify, and we get inbound inquiries. The other aspect of what I've got to do is find brand ambassadors, look at influencers, build relationships with those people.
It's a small world, Lucy.
So that we can get referrals.
Okay, so you're looking at upping your this place. What's the place called?
The place is called Help Me Stop. At the moment, we've got one centre which is in Acton in West London.
Right.
The plan in the short term is to have 5 centres around London, without, again, risking stating the obvious. We're going north, east, south, west, and central. And what we do is we offer rehab. We offer rehab in the real world.
Right.
So you can stay at home. Not everybody is a low bottom addict, a low bottom alcoholic like I was. Not everybody needs a physical detox from the substance. So for people who have a family, for people who can still hold down their job, the functioning alcoholic, the functioning addict, by engaging with our service on a day release basis, they can continue to stay at home.
Right.
And they can access our service. This is sounding like an advertisement, Jim. It doesn't.
No, that's right. Listen, it's not an advert, but I want to know what happens. The only thing that worries me is the only thing that worried me was when you're taken out of rehab, right? And I did try a rehab thing, but I didn't last, right? You're taken away from your world, right? Everyone you know, everyone you talk to, you're ostracised from everything. But then, after 28 days, you're put back in that world because they say, right, you need to find new friends, you need to find new things. I'm going back to the same place I live in, right? So this makes more sense to me. So people can function in their own environment, they can make the barriers they need to, but they can come and get help when they're feeling bad or feeling vulnerable. I think that's great. I think that's the best.
And it's an accessible price point as well. We're not talking about 25 grand for 28 days. We're talking about 2.5 grand for 160 hours over a period of time that works for you. So it's making it accessible. It's giving people the tools to live in the real world in which we all have to live in ultimately. That
to me makes a lot more sense than come here, hide for 28 days. Come back out, get back on the streets, and then all of a sudden you're with the same dealers, the same people, and whatever.
And it's no surprise that the success rates are not particularly high of that model.
I got to bottom level, but because of the health scare, that was taken away from me. But I still, even though I was in hospital, I then went out and had getting a massive bender the day I come out. because I was celebrating I was going to live. I just had one more go.
Yeah.
And then I ended up back in exactly the same hospital bed 48 hours later. Right? So then I did it. But if I'd have had some way of functioning in my everyday life and a support system, that makes an awful lot more sense than dumping me back where I was.
Yes.
So how do you see your function now as like progressing? What's your future?
Professionally or personally?
Both.
Or both?
I mean, you have a lovely wife. You have a young son.
I do.
And a myriad of other kids from previous places.
It's like the Von Trapps in my house.
Yeah, but also, I hate to say this, and everyone's going to go, oh, but you have a beautiful family.
I do.
There
I'm
is
blessed.
you know, I've only ever met Emma twice, I think.
Yeah.
Right, but she's a beautiful woman. But I mean that on the inside and out. Her family, all the kids are in the right way. They're all looking after each other.
Yeah.
And the little one creates the mayhem that a little one needs to create. He's not so little now, though, is he?
He's
How old is
8
he?
now.
He's
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
Flipping heck.
Yeah.
Right. Oh well, Samuel's 5, so yeah, he's got to be. But how do you put your family life and your addiction life, which is still present, because I think we need to say addiction doesn't go away.
It doesn't.
It's always present. Now, I'm lucky in as much as that I know damn well that if I lose my sobriety, then I lose my wife, I lose my child, I lose everything that I have, because that's what happens, right? And I haven't fallen off the wagon. I'm touching every kind of wood here for 11 years, 10, 11 years. How do you cope with all of these things in family life, living real life, and now sobriety?
For me, and this is my experience, being engaged in the 12-step process, being a member of a 12-step fellowship, gives me the tools, has given me the foundation to enable me to live a life whereby I have absolutely no fear whatsoever of falling off the wagon.
Okay.
That's not to say that I consider myself cured of this condition. I get a daily reprieve based on me applying some fairly simple tools and processes on a daily basis,
right?
That have set me free and enabled me to live just like anybody else.
Do you feel free? Do you feel released from that?
Absolutely free.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have fear anymore, but very tangibly for the first 5 years or so, I was frightened that I would fall off. Because don't get me wrong, right? My whole life, right? I smoked Marlboro cigarettes because they hit the back of my throat. I smoked cigars because it hit the back of my throat. I drank Jack Daniels because it hit the back of my throat. I took cocaine in massive amounts because it made me who I thought I wanted to be, and it hit the back of my throat. Well, I don't smoke anymore. I do drink, but I don't drink to excess because I don't have to. The only thing, is that I know now that I won't revert because I don't have those patterns in my life. But the fear is tangible when you start. The first couple of years are horrendous because all you think about is that fear.
Yes.
But fear is tangible. Fear is real. It's a real thing. How do you combat that?
And that's absolutely my experience as well. It's certainly in my early days, there was a healthy fear of relapse.
Right.
And a healthy fear. And like you say, a very real fear.
Keeps you in line.
It does. But I'm sat here in a bar now.
With me drinking in front of you.
With you drinking a pint of cider in front of me with absolutely no concern about it whatsoever. And to be honest with you, if I had to live a life whereby I had to hide away from drink, then I wouldn't want to live that way.
No.
I wouldn't want to live that way. I'd drink myself to death.
Yeah.
I choose not to go into places now where people are using substances.
Yeah.
But my life's not like that now.
That's the key. That's a very strong statement. My life's not like that now. Yeah. I've been into the same rooms I used to take gear in, right? And the sad thing about me, if you like, is that I used to want to be the one who chopped up. I used to want to be the one to give out. I also had all the most coke in my pocket, and I revelled in that. What a fuck up! But I only know that now through past experience. Yeah. I've been back to those rooms, and I don't judge anyone. I feel a bit sorry for everyone, knowing how they're going to feel the next day. Yeah. Right? Also knowing that they're either going to do one or two things. They're either going to move on and go back to their Monday jobs, or they're going to wake up and they're going to phone their dealer and ask if they've got anything left from the weekend because they're desperate. And I've been both sides of that. So I have a certain without being patronising, I feel sorry for those people that are in that situation. I don't think, I could do a line of that, because I know what it'll do to me.
Yeah.
And so, with this new role, with this newfound way to support your own sobriety, yeah, what's that going to change in your life? You're going to have stress because you've got to sell.
Yeah.
But there ain't no cars anymore.
No, absolutely. I think listening to the other two guys earlier, it's and knowing what I know about you is the opportunity that I've created for myself now, is to do something that I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think if you're passionate about what you do, then the stress becomes more manageable.
Do you know, that's what Perry said it, I've said it, Lucy said it, we've all said it. We're all passionate about who we are and what we do. Yeah. I love my tattoo shop. I would be distraught without it. I love the fact that I make these furniture, and I really do love that. And I love the fact that I have a family, and my wife and my child, and I love them to pieces. And I want to make sure that I carry on with that without detrimental. You have changed so much from the first person I met. But you weren't, how do I say this? You weren't an asshole. I wanted to be your friend. And that's why we're still friends. Yeah. We don't see each other very often, but when we do, it's always cordial. There's always a salute. But, it's one of them things. So, I hate doing this about this subject, but if you've got an addiction, what's the first step to get out?
The first step that anybody needs to take is recognising that there's a problem.
Right.
We don't have to sit down and think about it and talk about it and discuss it at length. We just simply have to admit that there's a problem.
Right.
As soon as you've done that, you're well and truly on your way. You're well and truly on your way.
And there is an old adage, you cannot force an addict to give up being an addict.
No.
Because I wasn't ready to give up that first time, hence I went on a bender and then come back. The second time, when I woke up in the same bed that I'd been in for 3 weeks, you've got to stop. Yeah. And luckily, really luckily, I bought into that because I quite easily flipped the other way. So, acknowledging there's a problem.
Yeah.
I've got a problem with the 12 steps, right? Okay. And we know that, and you know this.
I know this, yeah.
Right. The problem I have is with the higher power, and I don't believe in a deity. Okay. I don't believe that somebody is not controlling. Somebody doesn't guide what I do, and I don't need to answer to anybody apart from myself and the people around me. Why do I have to fight that? What's the deal with that? Is your higher power God? Am I allowed to ask that? What is it?
My starting point was exactly the same.
Yeah.
It was exactly the same. What happened for me was very quickly when I got clean, when I got sober, I forgot where I came from. Right. So, a month before, I'm drinking white cider and I'm scraping fag butts out the gutter. Yeah. A month later, I'm clean. I've got 3 square meals a day. I've had my teeth fixed up. I'm having a bath, and all of a sudden, what's happened is the ego is restored, and the cocaine addict from 10 years earlier, who's running around Soho in flash suits, with hundreds of pounds in his pocket and can sniff as much as he wants, is there. And there's no way on earth, I was going to say no way on God's earth, there's no way on earth that I'm going to even consider that there's any power out there greater than me.
Yeah.
And I struggled with it, and I've struggled with it all the way through my period of time in recovery so far. Right. The deal is it's experiential.
Yep.
And what I've come to learn is that there is a power out there that's greater than me. Okay. It doesn't reside within any sort of organised religion. Okay. I know lots of people that go down that route, and I've got no issue whatsoever with that. A lot of people these days look at nature. It can be a multitude of things. It's what the key is open-mindedness and willingness. Right. And that's it. Once we talk about the first step, admitting that there's a problem. Yeah. The second step is being open-minded and willing to consider that maybe, just maybe, that there is some sort of force at work that's greater than me. Yep. And that doesn't have to be a thing. It doesn't have to be tangible. It doesn't have to be something you can touch and hold or have an image of in your mind. It's as simple and straightforward as that. That said, I work a program of total abstinence.
Yeah.
That's not for everybody. You know, your experience is fundamentally different to mine, and that's cool. Not everybody needs the 12 steps.
No, I've never had. Right, I used, as you know, you can attest to this, right? I would stand at the bar and I was the last one there, right? And I relished that because I could drink, I could stand there, I could do whatever I wanted because I had a substance behind me, but also I had a propensity to drink.
Yep.
Okay, now I can go to the pub and have a pint and go, yeah, cheers, nice one, I'm going home to my dinner, whatever. It's nothing to do with the fact that, you know, if I go out drinking, my wife's with me, mate. You know, we're like, you know, power together, all of that. But also, I don't feel the need to stand out and get smashed out of my face every time. She will probably tell you that, you know, if we go out, I will be the one that's loud and gregarious and drinks. But the thing about everything we do from now on is that cocaine for me was what drove my badness.
Yeah.
And once I managed to escape from that, and right, it got to Friday, right, I've been doing a little bit of gear all through the week, but it got to Friday, then the thirst turned up.
Yes.
Right, everyone's free, everyone wants a line, everyone wants to come to me for that. So I've got to go and buy that, and I've got to do that, and then I've got to make sure that everyone's fucking ticking me because I haven't got any money, right? Then I'm selling it, and I'm doing all that. Then I become the big man. And that big man furnished my ego with what I needed at the time because I was a flawed human being, and I still am. But what I've learnt now is I don't need that.
Yep.
And I think I haven't taken any steps. I haven't done anything, but I've done it a different way, but we've ended up at the same place.
Yes.
So I think we can say that whatever works for you works for you.
And I wholeheartedly agree with that.
But this new thing of yours, you can live in your world. You can be part of you.
Yes.
But you can also be, you know, keep sober. You can stay in sobriety.
Yep. Yep.
Do you know what? It's like therapy, Chris, with you, isn't it? which is quite nice. So, what does your wife say about the new avenue?
It's a challenging time for us. I've been fortunate in my career previously, to some degree, that I have accumulated, on occasion, what some people might perceive as wealth. We've lived in some nice houses.
Yeah.
We've been able to do some nice things. I've smoked a lot of Cuban cigars.
Yes, you have.
In fact, I haven't bought a picture of Steve McQueen for you, but I have bought you a nice little Cuban.
Mate.
There you go, old chap.
What is this present day? Oh, God, I love that. Monte Cristo. Look at that.
And now
Thank you.
life's taken a different direction.
Do you feel like you're on an even keel?
I'm getting there.
Yeah?
I'm getting there. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
The reason I feel so strongly about you, I have no idea, you know, all right, we don't interact on a day-to-day basis. But the reason I feel so strong about you is we were both fucked up at the same time. We both had, you know, kind of the same problems. And because we have an affinity with that life, I can kind of see where you've been. You can see where I've been. Right? Weirdly, we both love cigars.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's a way of doing on. But how do people who want you and your service, how do people get in touch with you?
So we have a website, which is helpmestop.org.uk. That would be the first point, to visit that website. And then contact us.
Right.
Contact us by phone, contact us by email, come in and see us, and have an assessment. Find out if what we have is suitable for you.
Right. It's hard for me to see someone who hasn't hit rock bottom, right? Because you're looking for the functional addicts and people who can live on their own. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Am I right about that?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So the other side of it is access to the 12-step fellowships, of which there are many. I don't need to disclose which one I'm a member of.
No, you don't.
For my personal anonymity. But there's a lot of support available for people in all of those fellowships.
Right.
There's a lot of people in there that can signpost you to either the right services that can help you with a detox if you need one.
Yeah.
Or there's a lot of people there that can give you the support and help that you need through the 12-step process. My advice to anybody who thinks that they've got an issue with drink and or drugs is to reach out, stick your head through the door and find out if it's for you.
Right. So, you know, to stick your toe in the water, see what help you need.
Absolutely.
Do you know what? It's refreshing every so often to check in with you, just simply because you're so balanced now. There's a world that you live in that you've taken control of, taken back control of, and you live happily with your wife and your kids, and you live happily now. You've changed from being a car salesman because you knew it was destroying what you had in your brain, and now you want something else.
Yes.
This is going to be a struggle for you, though, right? This isn't easy. There isn't all the money in the world sat on this.
No, it's going to be difficult. We've had to make some significant changes,
Right.
but we're prepared to do that. There's more important things.
Is the challenge part of it for you? Is the challenge of it part of it?
Of course.
Because if you were too comfortable, I know what's going to happen, right? It's not going to be for you, is it?
Yeah.
So, selling cars, there's adversity in that.
There is. Yeah.
So this new challenge is a fucking challenge.
This is a challenge. This is a challenge on so many different levels. I've been spoiled. My previous business was 10 minutes away from home. I'm now driving into West London every day. That in itself brings a challenge.
That's not the best. Hopefully you got a nice car before you left.
I've had to buy a little car.
Yeah.
It's been a humbling process.
Right.
And it will continue to be. But the rewards that it brings, in terms of the peace of mind, I've got my weekends back.
Yeah.
I've got my weekends back.
Well, that's
for the first time in 10 years.
Because car dealers sell cars at the weekends, don't
Indeed.
they? Now
Yeah.
you can sell sweets to your kids at the weekend.
Exactly.
That's awesome. All right, man. Listen, we're going to end it. Thank you so much for coming to talk to me. And,
Thank you for having me, Jim.
You're welcome to come back anytime you like. And I respect your movements. I can't believe the change in you. But also, you always see this will sound really pompous, but as addicts, which we both are, you can see someone who's going to make the future, and you're making the future, and I'm proud of you. And I don't really know where this emotion's coming from, but I'm proud of you for doing that.
Thank you.
I think we all should recognise that. So, Chris Love, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we are living and making this show in a live bar. So you're hearing kids walk around, you're hearing them play, and it's a beautiful thing. But don't be sorry, that's what happens. All of my guests today have given you some kind of message. They've all told you their story, but also they've given you an ability to cope with different lifestyles. If you are an addict, there is always hope. There is always a place you can go. If you're starting a new business, there is always a way to promote yourself. Go and find Lucy. Go and find all of these people who can help you, because you don't need to have all the money in the world. You need to have the push and drive for yourself to make something happen for yourself. We've all done it. Everyone sitting here, we've all done it. Stella, who's behind the camera there, she's opened this place, which we found as a spiritual home, if you like, and we carry on with that. So come and have some vegetarian and vegan food, right? Do all that, right? We have, smash the microphone, right? Where's the art? Which is an art exhibition, which is on right now. Oh man, yeah, right. So it's open house, private view, 1st of March. That's all done, right? But who's the artist on the wall?
So local school gym.
Local school.
Christchurch School and friends and family.
Right.
Have done this beautiful exhibition to fundraise for a little boy who's suffering with the ABC disease, which is only 150 of
right.
recorded in the world. So do pop in and have a look at this lovely, colourful artwork.
So you can buy this art.
It's very affordable.
And it will support this child.
Support the fundraising and awareness for this disease.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right, so it's the ABC Foundation UK have put this on. And there's only 159 cases in the world. The disease attacks the nervous system, stripping patients of their fine motor skills, eventually cutting life short. Right, if ever there was a reason to come to the Exhibitionist, where I'm sat in now, it's that. Above and beyond the vegan food, the vegetarian food, and also the wonderful beer behind the bar. Right, so without trivialising anything, come and buy some art, because quite frankly, it all looks really good. Right, I'm going to sign off because I've been talking for way too long. Thank you to all my guests today. Thank you for you guys for listening and watching us, because I've seen we peaked at 23 people at one point. We've had 5 to 7 live all the time. Obviously, YouTube will turn this into a live video, which will show of the whole show. So we're going to do that. We're going to be live once a month, every month, from the Exhibitionist. The last song that we're going to play tonight, or today, this afternoon, is from Marcello, and it's produced by Luke Anthony, who is a friend of mine. So have that. Think about it. Join with Jim Distortion on Instagram, because then you can become part of the live show. Now we've worked out how to do it. Thank you to Simon Underground for producing the show today, and thank you to all my guests. I'll see you very soon.
I know a girl at Harvey Nicks working behind the till. I always see her at the rave. She loves cat flicks and pills. Always want to misbehave. Says she likes how it feels. She a slave to the wave. Late night making deals. You're never running late with a Monday yawn. You just wanna have fun because life's too short. Yeah, my sunshine, she'll rise through a storm. Always have to lift a spirit when I'm with my Capricorn. Aquarius, always hard to handle. Careless, breaking hearts like a vandal. Always in a scandal. You could make a man a fool. Next thing I know, you'll be wrapped round my ankle. Yeah, do your worst, but I ain't mad at you. In fact, I'm thankful, but you're a damn fool. We had something good, but you love a gamble. Now you can face it alone in a candle. Yeah, she my pretty Pisces, where it's always better. Blue eyes looking like seas. Aqua my treat, Long Island iced teas. In the shard getting deep, 3-course when I eat. She's high end, they high street. Louis on her arm, Balenciaga size freeze. She a queen, certified indeed, but you a freak undercover like CID. I saw a girl at the Pret-a-Manger, short dress, long hair, no one could compare. She was cute en route somewhere, in the queue with a blueberry porridge and a pear. Book in her hand, AirPods in her ear. Either she ignored me or she couldn't really hear. When I asked for her name, she straight at me. Oh my, that's a dangerous Aries. Yeah, so I hollered Tori for a dinner. She knows a spot we can eat by the river. She on the TV, but she started as a stripper. And every time we meet, her lips get a bit bigger. See that baddie in Miami posting pictures up. Always on a bullshit, she don't give a fuck. Always be the same, Taurus show me different love. Stubborn at times, but she knows what she wants. But have you ever met a Gemini? They ain't in the second tries. Fuck up and they'll sever ties. Beautiful, she will mesmerize. I was slow with replies, she unfollowed me online. Had to let it go, but it hurt inside. Always had me wondering, maybe I should've tried. Got me flicking through a gram light every night. Spent about a fortnight with a body on my mind. Met this pretty girl, it was going well, but she made me feel like she was thinking something else. A little nervous, I could tell when I told her to relax. It can help you come out of your shell. She told me last year was a living hell. Mum battled cancer, she lost a part of herself. 6 months past, she alive and well. Baby, you're a soldier, I just wanna see you prevail. I like a woman with ambition, independent and strong, effortlessly efficient. Someone that's bringing something different to the table. I ain't talking what she's cooking in the kitchen. Don Perignon, sipping, living life unforgiven. She'll do it for herself, girl, I love to see you winning. Loyal from the beginning, I'm feeling like it was written perfection. I'd be lying if I said a Leo isn't. Yeah. And when the summer turns cold, I holler my Virgo. Her love is inferno, ayy. We getting deep while she's sipping the Merlot. There's beauty in her soul, discussing long-term goals, ayy. Love me slow while our hearts intertwine, but she can't control a star sign like mine. Even though we connect and the sex is divine, she's grown to accept I'll forget her in time. Maybe I need a Libra, a diplomat, not a diva. Balance on the scale like a dealer. Satisfied with a puff and a pizza. Save for a future, not spend on a visa. Cool, calm, composed, she a keeper. There when I need her, just how I like it. But when I wanna eat, it's just harder to feed her. Become my Libras, just so indecisive. I was chilling at the Hoxton Grill. True that I met this one little painting still. Porn star martini and the passion was real. If looks could kill, she had a Scorpio feel. Spoke about her ex and the things that he did. Even mentioned revenge, she could never forgive. Could see this one getting a little possessive, so I took a number, but I probably never texted. Last but not least, Sagittarius, the beast. We fought like we're at war, then we come to make peace. You taught me that now is the time that we need. Sexy when you think, smart when you speak. You say how you feel it and you trust the energy. They'll say you're rude, but I love your honesty. You just do you, with no apologies. Truth be told, you remind me of me.